What's happening, everybody? Thank you guys for jumping in and tuning in to another episode of Expert Mentors Live and jumping on today with actually episode 14. And I'm super pumped. I get to run solo with you guys again today. And, I'm pumped. It's fun being able to do this with a lot of amazing people, but, the opportunity to run solo, it's kind of cool. So, man, make sure you guys are tuning in. We've got a heck of a lineup coming at you guys over the next several weeks. We've got some people that are in the top 40 that are going to be adding massive value to all of you, to all of the Honey Badger Nation, the Fast Forward movement, all of the rock stars out there. And really that's what Expert Mentors Live with these episodes are all about, is that there's just a tremendous amount of amazing people that have just done amazing things and within their business and have really perfected their craft and tremendous skill sets and being able to add value back to everybody in our community. And it's just awesome. And I really hope you guys are taking advantage of these trainings and, really pulling the nuggets and the value out of them. So we're going to do a couple things with you guys today. We're actually at boot camp, so I snuck into the one of the boardrooms. So hopefully we can get through the call without getting interrupted from anybody needing to use the room here. So at the Westin Stonebriar here in Frisco, and been a heck of a 3 days. I know we've got some honey badgers, some fast forward movement people in the room, and we set the dates for our next 2 boot camps. So if you guys are interested, those will be rolling your way. Got our next one set in September and then one in December. So super pumped. They're awesome. And the room has been one of the best rooms that we've ever had for boot camp. So it's really cool. We're going to jump in, man. Today's topic is not sexy at all, but it is absolutely critical if you're really serious, and you all should be, about maximizing your business. And there's really only one goal in business, and that's to make a profit. And now whatever you do with that profit's a whole nother conversation, but it's absolutely critical to understand that. So I'm going to give you guys a framework that really changed the trajectory of our business focus and the way that we looked at things and have really operated ever since. And it was a game changer. And ever since, it changed our business, we've been able to, share that and help so many other people apply the principles to their business, and they've reaped the benefits and the rewards of it as well. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Cool. All right. So we're going to rock with this presentation here. And today's topic that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is really the financial strategies to grow your profits so you can pursue the bigger purpose, right? And have that greater impact that you're wanting to have within your marketplace, your community, your lives, that living life intentional. So what we know about most of you guys that haven't been able to coach and apply this to thousands of agents over the years is that most of you do not have any type of financial rhythm to consistently review your finances on a weekly basis. Most of you guys are not even paying yourself correctly, paying yourself a competitive market-based wage. And so that really is not showing the true numbers within your business. So what is so important about this? Well, if we can agree that the number one weakness of growth companies is marketing, the number 2 problem is accounting. And it's super unappreciated and is often really seen as a necessary evil, right? And so the reason that you guys want to appreciate the accounting and have a financial strategy and know your numbers will allow you to forecast, be able to see into the future and see, as Jay likes to say, if that 2x4 is coming at you. And if you do get hit with the 2x4, because we all do at certain points of our business, we'll at least be able to hopefully soften the blow and recover a lot faster and not lose everything. So it's really important for you guys to, for all of us to stay focused on growth. I think everybody that's watching this at either with us live or tuning in and watching it again really can agree that want to grow and achieve more. The hard truth that we have to understand is that growth sucks cash, period. And so when you understand your numbers, you understand the finances, it'll allow you to forecast your growth a lot smarter. And, also this process has helped so many people know when to step out of their business if they want to. And I think for a lot of us with the opportunity with agent attraction, there's a right time when you understand the math to know when you can hit that ejector button and transition out to really focus more so on agent attraction. But you just got to have a system and process to be able to see it and know when the right time to make that move. So a little bit about our story. When we finally saw the light was when we got introduced to this gentleman here, Mr. Greg Crabtree. And we were introduced to his book through Vern Harnish's weekly newsletter. And you guys all should be subscribed to Vern Harnish's weekly newsletter. It is just jam-packed, comes out every Thursday. So be looking forward to that one tomorrow. And he's always got nuggets. And it's, usually around, people that have impact in small business, just like Greg has had. And so at the point that we were introduced to Greg was in 2011. And so Jay and I, in Lawton, keep in mind, you can do the math. In 2011, we did 304 units at 35.9 million in volume, over $1 million in revenue, but we had a negative 3% net profit before taxes, negative 3%. And so once we got introduced to Greg, we applied and followed his salary cap formula, which I'm going to take you guys through today. We applied a salary cap formula and went down. We did less to 294 units in 2012 for 37.8 million in volume with 1.25 million in revenue. But what changed was we went from negative 3 to a 14.4% net profit before taxes, right? So that was a 17% turnaround in 12 months. And we did it again in 2013. We did 266 units in 2013 for 33 million in volume, 1.16 million in revenue, and 14.5% net profit before taxes, okay? This works, all right? If you will follow the formula, follow the steps that Greg teaches and what we're gonna work through today, you can really maximize that bottom line, all right? So let's dive in. There are two types of models that we choose from for those of us, for most of you guys on this call, all right? And the two types are, number one is the producer model. So the numbers I shared with you guys was not the producer model, all right? We'll get to that next model in a second. But the producer model is the most profitable model. It requires that you are doing most of the dollar productive activities in the business. Okay. And there's only a handful. You guys, on this call are well aware of that. It's face-to-face time with motivated sellers, some buyers. Potentially you are the ISA if you don't have one. And, maybe you have a strong admin that's helping you do everything. That's the most profitable model in this business. And it's, creating leverage and, investing dollars in people to create that leverage. If you can reallocate that time to get a greater return on your time, or you can, not. You can, enjoy life a little bit more, but your profit margin is going to go down because that's kind of what you're paying for. So the producer model, and then the business model. So the numbers that I was, shared with you guys when we got introduced to Greg, and how it had an impact and changed our thinking in the way we really looked at it was the business model. And the business model is for those of us who are really brave enough to chart the unknown and venture off. And it really requires to replace yourself and really replacing the highest dollar activities in the business with an employee, contractor, or hybrid of both. And I would say the hybrid is probably the better way to go, because we've vetted out and changed gone every which way. There's just some things. So I would lean a little more towards a salary and a bonus commission compensation structure when you're looking to pull yourself out. So what is the correct way for us to run our P&Ls in order to really determine our pre-tax profitability? Owner's salary. It really is. It's what's fogging up our view of profitability, because a lot of times you'll hear people talk about their numbers and they'll say, well, yeah, I'm operating at 30% net profit. Okay. What are you paying yourself? And is that factored in there? No, I'm not paying myself. Okay. So are you sucking all the profits out of the business? So it's really important to get really crystal clear on what it is that you're paying yourself. And why is this important? Because if you ever want to pull yourself out of the business, then you have a market-based wage of what you would compensate somebody for to do what you're doing. So market-based wage. Market-based wage is what you earn for the job you do in your business. What are you doing in your business? And simply put, what would it cost you to replace yourself? Really, it's the value you create for the work you do in your business. If you don't pay yourself a market-based wage, you will never truly know if you can step out of your business. And this was one of the things that we had to learn the hard way as we tried to pull Kinder out three separate times. And, if you work with Greg, and he'll tell you this too, right, is that you're paying yourself above a market-based wage, it's okay, but you just have to realize where those additional dollars are going to come from. And, for us with super tight margins, you can do the math on the volume in the unit count. Our average sales price was 118, 120. I think today Stace is still averaging, less than 130,000 average sales price up in Lawton. And, Stace understands this, so he pays himself a market-based wage to make sure that he's in alignment to his profitability numbers. And so, the challenge that we ran into with Kinder trying to pull him out is that he wasn't on a market-based wage. So when we tried to pull him out, one, when you pull yourself out, you have to make sure that you don't continue to keep paying yourself for things that you don't do. You get paid for what you do within the business. And it's really, really important to understand that, because if you're taking a salary from your business and you're not doing anything in your business, you're just you're running the potential of cash flow, of seizing up cash flow and driving the plane right into the side of the mountain. So you want to just make sure that you understand market-based wage. You're paying yourself for what you do in the business. And, there's great tools out there. The one that we like is salary.com. Salary.com will give you the comparisons and the breakdown to be able to really help you identify what a market-based wage in a given area and a given revenue, where you guys rate, your revenue range for your business and where you're at in the country, what would be a good wage. And this is an important tool to use too, guys, when you're looking to make hires, that, what would you pay an ISA in your market, right? Just because of, like for us in DFW market, it's around 50,000, but you get up in Lawton, it's not. It's 30, 35, right? Is where you can get away. You get, maybe the incentives to where they can get up to 40, but it's all dependent upon the market. So that's why it's called a market-based wage. So use the tool salary.com to help you out to identify what compensation is in your market. Now, does that mean that you need to pay, if you have a bad to the bone ISA, you set the incentives to where they can make, double market-based wage, right? And so you can be okay with that. You just need to make sure that your compensation structure is aligned correctly. The other is pre-tax profit. And pre-tax profit this is the return on what you own on your business. This is what is left after your gross margin, your direct labor, your non-direct labor, and your expenses. And we'll talk about this in the salary cap in a few minutes. That will really help you. But before we jump in there, let's talk about some of the lies that we've all been told. And with one, one is your goal is not to pay any taxes, right? And why is this not true? So the effective savings on spending your profits in your business is equivalent to the 37, 35, 37% that you're in the highest tax bracket, plus any state tax depending upon your state. Oklahoma, we had to pay tax. Texas, we don't. And so really what that means that in order to break even or pay no tax, we have been told that you go out and buy a truck at the end of the year, right? Buy some more computers, invest in stuff, this, that, the other. And usually what will happen is that has a long-term negative impact on your business. And so unless the asset is critical to improving profitability, right? And we made a couple bigger investments on things that helped us grow profitability. The moving van for us in Lawton was probably one of the best things that we ever did. Jay wrapping the Hummer was one of the best things that we ever did because they were just mobile billboards. Plus, getting the use into the community. How many local charities have used the moving van? I mean, it's just been a great piece. So making that investment was good, right? It wasn't just to avoid taxes. There was some strategy behind it. And then the other challenge, some things that you can kind of question and poke back that we've been told is to pay ourselves a lower salary and then just pay ourselves a higher shareholder dividend. And you're talking about just small savings, right? Equivalent of a couple $1,000s a year. And the danger. So one of the things that you have to understand too about Greg is Greg's a former IRS, audit soldier that would go in and pick apart, tax returns with the red flags. And so, here's this guy that has that skill set and he knows what the IRS looks for. And so he just knows how to make sure that, you're staying, to where no red flags are going to be popping up on the IRS's radars. For those that have gone through that audit process, it's excruciating. So really just be sure, right? So what they look at is that if it's off, there's a potential for a red flag and it's going to cost you even more. So it's not worth that risk. So what should you expect for profitability and how do we measure success? Cool. So as a rule, these are Greg's numbers, and I'll share with you what we've seen over the years. But from Greg's perspective, he sees thousands and thousands of different businesses that do over $1 million in revenue each and every year. And so what we were, our experience that, it has been really that the average sales price has a tremendous impact on what we can do with profitability. And so the numbers that, like I said, that I shared with you from Lawton, from our experience, was about $125,000 average sales price. And so I'll give you kind of some insights that we've seen just because we've looked under the hood of so many businesses over the years that what we've seen as those average sales prices skyrocket. And even on that solopreneur platform, when you're doing $500,000 in revenue, I mean, you could be keeping as much as 75% of it, even paying yourself a market-based wage. So there's really some cool things to take into consideration. But these are Greg's numbers. And so 5% pre-tax profit or less means your business is running on life support. You probably are noticing the serious cash flow problems and every deal must close. Okay. 10% pre-tax profit means that we have a good solid business. It's not really raking in cash, but it's not a threat. And then 15% pre-tax profit or more means your business is growing, and so is your cash in your business, and you want to ride that as long as you can. And we'll talk about some growth strategies by following that percentage number to where you can maintain healthy growth without bringing in the threats. All right, so that's really key. What we've seen, right? So with the numbers, I want to share those numbers with you on the success has been for most businesses that are set up, that are cranking, it's probably closer to 20 to 25% is where you want to really set that target instead of, 15. But the goal on the growth strategy, guys, has been, okay, let's get the business to 15. Okay. And then let's hold tight on expenses and do everything we can to grow it to 20. And then, okay, what was that percentage? And let's take that, reinvest. That'll drop us back down to 15, but let's reinvest that 5% back into the business. That'll help us to get it to 25. And so that's kind of the growth strategy that you want to keep in mind when you're looking at the financials on how we're going to strategically grow through profits instead of trying to finance the growth. And honestly, what we've seen is that markets that are 250,000 and above, your target really should be about 35% net profit before taxes. Okay. So that's kind of the measuring stick when you look at these numbers and where you want to set things up. So that's really, really key to keep in mind when we're going to measure success and what we should expect from profitability. So some of the secrets to surviving the growth from $500,000 to 1.5 and beyond has been really paying attention to the cash conversion cycle. And when you're growing fast, your need for infrastructure, staffing can really starve your business of cash. And I'm sure a lot of you on or listening to this call are probably just nodding your head. You're like, yep. As we grow, man, it's a huge threat. And so, gentleman that we're working with, that we've had the opportunity to work with over years, he's got another business venture, and we were chatting last week and a couple weeks ago, and he had mentioned that their revenue growth and their salary expense has been maintaining the same growth, right? So it's like, at what point do we hold to let revenues and profits go before we start adding new people? And so it's just the organizational dynamics when it takes to how you want to support and structure and grow your business. So cash conversion cycle is absolutely critical to remember and understand, constantly. Growth sucks cash. And so this is really typical why real estate businesses should be about a 15% pre-tax profit before investing in any more marketing or staff. It's a good benchmark number that you want to look at to get to. And it just becomes an ebb and flow in the growth process. So for our business, the investment into a staff member or marketing on the listing side of the business is usually, for us, was a 4 to 6 month investment before break even at best. Okay. That was just the numbers that we saw based on our price points and what we were, profit per transaction. So on the buy side, the return is typically much the same, but much less profitable if you have buyer's agents. So keep that in mind. So just throwing some numbers and stuff out there for you, just to kind of give you some context and help you get your head around this, is that the average seller lead could cost, really $300-$700, right? To acquire that, to take that listing, depending upon the marketing investment, like for us was radio, television, billboards, some of the higher end branding strategies at that point. But you could also look that a buyer lead could cost you $10 to $20 to generate. And, we're seeing some stuff through Facebook right now that's even around $1 a piece to generate. So those close rates, other variables come into play here as well. So the big difference that you have to remember here, guys, is that how much are you giving away to a team member? That's the business model numbers that you have to keep in mind, right, when you're making these investments. That's why it's so much more profitable when you're doing the business in the producer model, because those opportunities are coming to you. You're not giving away half of every dollar to close out the sale. And so we just have to pay attention to that. And you'll see that here in a second in the salary cap formula. So we really want to focus on gross margin. That's really the key number. Revenue is vanity. And it's the weakest number when it comes to the P&L. It absolutely is. I mean, it's okay. I beat my chest. I did 1.5, we did, 2.2, we did 4. Cool. Well, what was the gross profit? And, what was the net profit before taxes, after you paid yourself a market-based wage? So what were those numbers? And so way Crabtree calculates gross margin, it's to be revenue minus all non-labor direct costs. So for those of us, rocking it out at EXP, you have that as a cost of sale number that goes in. You've got any commissions that you're paying out that goes in, and really any non-labor direct cost, anything that is driving revenue that is non-labor goes into that factor that gives us our gross margin. That's the number that we really want to pay attention to. And that really gives you the true economic top line of your business. And so utilizing agents, subcontractors, our new top line really has to be on gross margin. And that's where you'll see the opportunities that result in the highest margin per labor dollar. Okay. And the producer model, that's you guys. And so focus on the greatest return on time. It's really, really, really important. So cash conversion cycle, labor efficiency ratio. So the number one driver of profitability is labor efficiency. It's a measure of the productivity of each dollar we spend on labor, okay? And it's even for you, right? You're paying yourself, let's say you're paying yourself, I don't know, just $10,000 a month. What is the return on that $10,000 per month, right? What's the return we're getting? And when you really start to calculate it, like for us, when we vetted out the salary model, when we transitioned Kinder out and we put Stace in, we paid Stace a salary. It was a market-based wage based on the number of deals he would do, just kind of percentage. And, that's what we measured. We measured, are we getting the investment return? And that's what labor efficiency is, right? Are we getting the return for that labor dollar? And it'll crush you guys if you're not paying attention to it, and especially with staff, right? Our administrative staff, if we're not getting a return on those dollar investment, it'll suck profitability from your business. I mean, just like that. So we've got to pay attention to it. We've got to be aware of it. We've got to monitor it. We need to look at it on a consistent basis. And, just the multiplier, I mean, it's just really essentially, right? Every dollar you spend on labor, how much are you getting back in return? Just to keep it real simple. And for us, when we were, kind of the numbers that I shared, we were getting a $6 return for every dollar of direct labor. Now, direct labor is different than just administrative labor. Direct labor is labor that is you're paying tied to revenue, that is generating revenue. And I'll give you kind of the breakdown. ISAs, listing agents, listing coordinator, and I'll tell you why. And then could be customer experience person could be in there as well. Anybody that's having an impact on the revenue would be considered direct labor. We'll talk about that in just a second. These are the numbers that will drive your profits. If you can get your direct labor to perform and at a greater return, your profits will increase as well. And so, what are the activities my labor dollar must be focused on to move the needle? That's the question that you want to constantly be asking yourself. What are the activities that are a must that my labor dollar must be focused on, right? So give me an example. So in the producer model, when Jay was rocking out doing appointments, and even this is good. So there's small outlier communities in the Lawton area. And for those of you that have smaller communities, and you can even apply it here to Dallas. Like in the producer model, Jay would drive 45 minutes to go take $120,000 listing. And he would just go do those things. But when you're paying somebody a wage to go do those things, you start to evaluate, is it worth that time to drive, to prepare, to drive out there, drive back, and handle that for $120,000, right? You start to look at it and you're like, I don't think his time's worth that. So you have to evaluate. You start thinking about it differently. And so that's just a great question, is that what are the activities my labor dollar must be focused on to move the needle, right? The highest gross margin activities drive profitability. So just, if you take anything away from that with your labor, take that question away. So examples of where our marketing dollars and labor dollars should go, including you. So inside sales, right? The most profitable activities you guys on this call can do are the listing appointments. You know that face-to-face, motivated sellers is the highest thing in this business. It is what it is, and that's the highest thing in this business that you can do. And so the example like I even shared with Jay is that you can spend 1 to 2 hours and determine the outcome of that appointment. The dollar per hour, like for us, all the way up to 200,000, is anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 on a sellable listing. And there's nothing more in this business that you can do that'll move the needle than that, right? And so the only other thing would be prospecting for sellers. So you're either the ISA or you have an ISA, but the labor dollar has to be having a return, and making sure that we're going after FSBOs, making sure we're going after expireds, making sure we're going after seller investor opportunities, right? Potential home evals, just anything that's going to be, turn into a real seller opportunity. And really, regardless of whether or not we're in the producer model or the business model, we just have to be clear about what roles that we agree to play in the business. Okay. And so this was our business model structure that we've adopted and followed. And so it was inside sales, and really they drive revenue, right? Call in expireds, FSBOs, handle all seller inquiries and follow up. The listing agent, right? It was Jay, it was you, it's us, right? We're responsible for building the rapport, giving the value proposition, collecting the paperwork. And, when we started transitioning, and at what point from creating leverage, and this is the only way that I would say your listing coordinator could be direct labor, is that we handed all the paperwork process off and the client over to the listing coordinator. They handled everything. So it's the hands in mouth from analogy from the dentist, right? The dentist comes in, gets his hands in your mouth, kind of looks around, this, that, the other, does a little something, tap dance, boom, talks to you for a second, then he's out the door. And so it's the same approach, right? Come in, do the thing that you're the best at, out, let the assistant handle it. And where we put this into direct labor is because we even handed the negotiation off to our listing coordinator. Now, did we just do it blindly? No, we certified our listing coordinator, sent them through all the C&E training, all the negotiation training that we can possibly get them. And that's how they were presenting and negotiating offers. Obviously, they would get some feedback and thumbs up, thumbs down from the listing agents, but they handled and negotiated everything. So that's how we grouped or considered them to be direct labor. And then we had our client experience manager, and they were the ones that were kind of like the ISA, but they're really just loving and hugging on clients throughout the whole process. And there's been some amazing previous episodes that really talk about that client experience process. Jennifer Weiner crushed it on that whole process and love when you want to touch and hug. So you want to dive deeper on that client experience process, check out episode 12 with Jennifer Weiner, and she'll really tie all of that in. So it's just really important. But that was the structure of where our labor dollars were invested. We're into those functions. And could your ISA do the customer experience stuff? Yes, absolutely, they could. Depends upon the amount of volume of business that you guys are doing. And, could an admin do listing coordination and contract to close? Yes, absolutely. They could do all of the above. So it just depends on the dynamics of where you're at in your business and how you want to design the organizational structure to support to hit the goal. That's the process. That's what you guys have to understand, is that you got to get clear on the goal, and then you got to design the organizational structure to support to hit the goal. And the cool thing about organizational structure is that you get to design it. You can make it however the heck you want. There's key functions, but you can design it however you want. And so just keep that in mind. It's important as you guys grow, getting clear on the goal and then making sure that you have the team aligned to support to hit the goal. So major keys to survival: cash or access to cash. Always recommend, guys, when you are flush with cash, go get the ability to have more cash. That's when you establish a line of credit for your business, is when you're flush with cash. And it's not when you're in dire straits that you need to, like, man, I need some dang cash. That's not the time to go set up a line of credit. You set up those extensions, the ability to go get money when you don't need to get money. Another key to survival is not making bad hires in key positions. We're all gonna, make sure we have a great hiring process. And if you guys are interested, I would love to, that's a whole nother episode that we can do down the road. If you guys are interested, we can definitely do, like we were talking about, designing the organizational structure and the functions and being clear on key metrics, roles, and responsibilities. And then having a process that you follow to identify the best possible candidate for that function. And so if you guys, like I said, if you guys are interested, we can do another episode of that in the future. So just not making those bad hires in key positions. Get great training and infrastructure in place. Really master the strategic planning process and rhythm. And you want to collapse time like we all want to. But do we know the framework? And the framework to collapse time is mastering of the strategic planning. Project management for execution. How are you working? We love the Scrum process. There's, the technologies with Trello, Asana you can use that move your projects from, you got your backlog items to be able to move to, doing, or to do, to doing, to moving them that you're not stuck, to done. So just having some type of process to manage and execute of projects is critical. And then, man, nothing short of work. And you got to work. It's got to put in the effort. There's one magic pill, and the magic pill is effort. And so we just want to make sure that we've got nothing short, that we're putting in the required amount of effort and energy to accomplish what we're wanting to accomplish. So cool. So let's determine the salary cap, right? Predetermined profitability. And this was the exact exercise that took us from that -3% to over 14% in 12 months. And we actually turned it around in about 5 months, less than that, because we presented this at Mastermind, and we had our Mastermind event in January. We told them what we discovered and what we found and what we changed. And we reported back in June, and we had already seen that change, and we were able to sustain it over an extended period of time. So cool. So here we go. So make sure that you guys have the best way you can just sketch this out, right? On your notepad as you're following along here. So determine the best way to achieve your required labor productivity. So if you'll notice in the top box right here in the table one, these are all your buckets, right? These are all your lines. We have revenue, we have salaries, we have non-salary expenses, total expenses, and pre-tax profit. So how you go through the salary cap process is that you start with the two numbers. What is your goal revenue, right? What is your goal revenue? And so in this example, $1 million in revenue. And then remember, we want to get to the 15% pre-tax profit first. And you can tweak this a little bit as you go through it, as you start to see, well, man, I'm not spending that much. Okay, well, cool. So let's drop that down to the pre-tax profit number. And that might go to 20, 25, 30%, depending upon kind of what we have, we'll see. But this is just a great example. But this is the salary cap process. And so if you look at down in the bottom box, we got to fill out 3 more numbers, right? We've got 2 of the 5. We need to get 3 more. And so in this example, when we laid it out, this was our goal. Our goal was 1.155 in total revenue. We didn't come around to salaries. We left that alone for a second. We took our pre-tax profit And then we did the math, right? So we knew that at this example, my little trusty calculator, minus 150. So that give us $1,005,000 to play with, essentially to put the best team on the field. And it's the same thing that, the professional sports team use, right? They kind of know where the revenue target's going to be. They have their profit margin. Then they have X number of dollars to put the best team on the field. And so you go into total expenses. If you know what your budget is before salaries, you can put that number in there. So in this example below, we knew that our operating expenses before salaries was running around $50,000. And that, it's just what it was: rent, marketing, facilities, overhead, just the things that we had. And then we went into non-salaries. So non-salaries is what is our expected on our revenue target that we're expected to pay out in commission dollars to our agents. What are we expected to pay out in if you're at EXP, for example, what do you expect to pay in cap, right? Your cap numbers that you're looking to pay and invest. And those are all your non-salaries. And then what comes left is, this is how much money we have left for salaries. Then you just look, right? Is that a surplus? Is it short? So the example for us guys that went from -3 to 14% when we did this exercise, what jumped out at us is that our salaries were out of whack, meaning we had too many people in the organization that we weren't getting a return on our labor dollar. Unfortunately, what we had to do is we had to get within the salary cap, and we had to have some real hard conversations. We had to help people get relocated to go do something else. And that's sucks, but that was the reality of it, because we blindly stepped into this without, going through this process to know what we could afford to pay. And once we did that helped us get in alignment. Plus we saw that in our expenses were out of whack, right? In some areas. So, we're not spending money on things that aren't working, right? We're getting a return on, what we're spending money. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys, what each of these buckets are all about and how you really determine. You want to start with your revenue goal and your profit goal. And then from there, what are you going to pay out in commissions to contract dollars to hit your revenue targets? And then, that leaves us, we know what our budget is, then that leaves us how much we can afford to pay in salaries. And so do the math, kind of work through it. But this is an extremely, extremely important exercise to make sure that you're clear on what your revenue and your profitability are. So let's talk right things, right order. Right things, right order. And what do we mean by this? So this is the financial strategy to make sure that we're thinking about and hitting milestone targets along the way to maximizing cash flow and maximizing profitability. One, we want to make sure we're current on everything. We have no past due outstanding bills. That's the number one milestone that we want to get to, right? We're climbing the top of the mountain here. Our first milestone is to make sure that we are absolutely current on everything. Number two is to get to core capital. And what do we mean by core capital? So in the previous example, whatever that total monthly amount was, 50 plus salaries, whatever it was, whatever it cost you to break even each and every month. What is your budget? So say it cost you $25,000 a month for facilities, communications, for all of your marketing, for all of your other dues, subscriptions, fees, and then all of your salaries. Say it cost you $25,000. That includes paying yourself a market-based wage. Then core capital would be $50,000 cash in your operating account. Okay, get to core capital. Now this is different than what Greg talks about, and the reason that we found that we want to get to core capital after we're current first is that it allows us to withstand the seasonality and shifts in the market. And Lawton, for us, man, we'd start the year over 100,000 in the bank, and it would get scary coming out of the winter months, and before the spring market couldn't come fast enough, right? Because we would be sucking some cash in those earlier months, and it gets scary. So you want to make sure you have core capital, and it allows you to withstand the seasonality and the shifts in the market. Next is taxes. So once you're at core capital, then you want to start sliding money into a savings account specific for your taxes based upon your tax projection on your profitability from your salary cap. Okay. You have a good gauge of what those are. So core capital, and then everything above your core capital goes into a bucket allocated for taxes. Next would be once the core capital bucket's full, once the tax bucket's full, then we want to manage any debts, if we have any debts, any type of credit cards, line of credits, any long-term vehicles, anything like that we would want to have. Cool question. Cool, Terry. So cool question. So Terry, the core capital is 2 months of what it cost you to operate your business in your operating account, cash. So that's what I was saying. If it costs you to break even, include paying yourself $25,000 a month, all of your salaries, all of your expenses, everything, then you want $50,000 cash in the bank, 2 months. And the reason is because you can withstand, you can see if you're in rhythm and you're forecasting, and you're able to know that money's about to get a little tight, right? So cool, got it. So that's just important to be able to understand. Manage debt, credit cards, any line of credit, any other thing like that, and then it's distribution time. Then it's reinvest back into your business, okay? That's why we always like to say, from a growth standpoint, we want to hit our profit targets. We want to maintain that and continue to try to grow an extra 4 or 5% before we start to pull any of those profit dollars and reinvest back in the growth of the business. So get current, get to core capital, get those taxes squared away, manage any debts before you look at those distributions or reinvestments back into it. So Crabtree talks, this is his order. It's taxes, manage debt, then core capital, and then pay dividends. And hopefully you guys understand the reasoning behind the difference. We just have seen too many crash and burns ourselves because we didn't have core capital taken care of. So here's the recommended reading for you guys that will really help you bring all of this together, even at a deeper level. Scaling Up, which is the above version from Mastering the Rockefeller Habits from Vern Harnish. Like I said, sign up for his newsletter. Make sure you're getting his newsletter every week. Comes out every Thursday, and it's just packed full of nuggets. And then get Greg's book, Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. And he'll really go deeper on everything that we talked about and shared with you guys today. It's a must. Those need to be in your library. They're reference manuals more so than anything. And so you definitely want to have those in there. Now let's talk rhythm. One thing that I want to share with you guys, and this is the rhythm that we've been in with all of our businesses over the last 12 years, is Financial Friday. So every Friday we review the finances in all of our businesses. And it's that important, because the reason we do it on Fridays is because the finances are just the result, right? It's nothing that's indicating what we're doing to drive greater opportunities, more marketing focus, priority focus towards the beginning of the week, sales conversion focus, process identification and focus, and then financials. So that's kind of the rhythm for our meeting structure throughout the week. And Financial Friday, we go through where are we at, how much money we got in the bank, right? What's our cash look like? What's our closing forecast look like? What do we look like? What do we think we'll be? in where do we think we'll be in where do we think we'll be in 60, 90 days, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. I like your thinking, Terry. Yep, it'll help us know where happy hour is. That's for sure. But we do it on Fridays, man. And like I said, the rhythm we're looking at from a forecasting perspective. We review every closing. We know what looks good. Do we need to push things out? Because what we want to know is, so like right now, we know where we're going to be cash-wise projections going into August. And then we also know if we don't put another deal on the board, what our cash is going to be going into September. And that's usually kind of what we look. We look maybe 60 days out. We don't try to get much further than that. We know what the budget is. We know what that looks like. And so going through that financial rhythm is really, really important to stay on top of. And then, any issues, challenge, choke points, improve the budget, go line item by line item on every dollar that's been spent, review credit card statements, review the bank statements. And that just allows everything to not slip past you. And if you do it on a weekly basis, there's nothing that goes a week that, you know exactly where you are week over week from your cash position and kind of forecast. Crabtree talks about, and this is our agendas are structured this way, of the time that we allocate to our finances and looking at our numbers, 25% of the time on what has happened and 75% of the time on what is going to happen. So really, really focusing our energy and our efforts on forecasting instead of getting bogged down in the P&Ls, right? That's just like, my report that I look at is, budget versus actual. So we determine the budget. Did we actually spend the dollars? Are we spending dollars that we didn't forecast for? Paying attention to kind of what the revenue forecast looks like. And because what it does is it allows us to make better decisions. And that's all we're trying to do here, forecast and make better decisions and follow those steps and get to distribution as fast as we can, because that way we're able to put more money in our pockets and maximize profitability. Just like I said, we kick things off, man, there's only one goal in business, and that's to make a profit. And so we just have to have the systems and processes in place to make sure that we are doing that. And we're just, not taking money out that puts our business in a real tough position, especially from a seasonality or a shift in the market. So we just want to be best prepared. Cool. If you guys have any other questions, hopefully this was helpful. Gave you some framework. Like I said, it's not sexy at all, but hopefully gave you some good framework on the financial side. Grab Crabtree's book. Make sure that if you just follow what he teaches in that book, if you just follow the salary cap, if you just follow paying attention to your labor efficiency, you guys will be able to maximize your profitability, and it'll definitely help you guys down the road. Cool. Awesome. Terry, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. Appreciate you guys. And if you need anything, reach out. And, if you're definitely watching live or the replay, we always love, share your biggest takeaways. We absolutely love it. It's great for all the presenters. They do an amazing job. Make sure you guys are tuning in. Make sure you're giving them the love. They're awesome. And, if you know of anyone that's a honey badger or a fast forward rock star that would love to be an expert mentor, man, reach out to me. Would love to get them in the lineup. Like I said, tune in. We've got some awesome people coming your way over the next several weeks. And just I'm excited to be able to pick their brains and let them share. And hopefully you guys will be as well. Oh, Terry. So where did honey badger come from? YouTube honey badger, and you'll understand. And honey badger don't care. He does what he wants to do. And when you watch the videos of the honey badger, you'll get it. And we ran with the honey badger, and it was the award that we presented to the most relentless pursuit of accomplishing and attacking the goal that we've seen out of any of our coaching clients. So that was an award that we gave at EGS through NAEA. There's some amazing honey badgers that are part of EXP now that it really is. It's cool, man. YouTube it and you'll laugh. It's just awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Appreciate you. If you need anything, feel free to reach out, and look forward to catch you guys on the next episode.